Hello, everybody. My name is Bo, and I'm a home theater enthusiast. And in today's video, I want to discuss upgrading and how frequently or infrequently I've upgraded my equipment or gear in my theater room over the past, 19 years. I didn't have a dedicated theater room till like 2005, but I did have some of this equipment before then in a more of a living room setup than a dedicated home theater. But when I started following certain YouTube channels back in 2020, I was more of a casual home theater enthusiast, I would say, from 2006 to 2020, and then in early 2020, I stumbled across Youthman just randomly on YouTube, and kind of reignited my love and passion for this hobby, and watched a lot of his videos, and I found build montage, audio advice, home theater engineering, home theater guru, that home theater dude, just spare change, just a ton of great home theater content on YouTube. And I kind of started feeling like the odd man out when people would talk about upgrading their gear, because it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but a lot of people upgrade more frequently than I ever did. So now I'm kind of feeling like, am I the weird one, or is everyone else? Because I'm gonna go through all like the major upgrades I've done and how much time was in between, and I'm gonna go from like the shortest time span in between upgrades to the longest. And I think, well, I hope that'll be interesting, and you guys can share your story about how frequently you've upgraded. And obviously, there's budget constraints. There's justifying the cost. For me, I'm a single income in my house, and I have many other rooms that I need to attend to, stuff on the outside, vehicles and all that. So, if that wasn't a concern, obviously, I would have had higher end equipment or more frequent upgrades. But I also have a living room directly above my theater room, where I also like to upgrade my TV every 4 years or so. In 2019, I bought an OLED, so I didn't put any money into the theater room in 2019 because it went to my living room for my gaming. So anyway, I'm gonna switch screens, because until I get a different camera and can actually record in my room, I'm gonna do this format. So the shortest time between upgrades for me was 3 years. So this is the Polk, our Clips, sorry, R110SW, purchased in 2017 to replace another sub you will see later in this list. And I replaced it with the SVS PB1000. So that was in 2020, almost exactly 3 years later. And I'm going to go into way more detail about some of these changes in separate videos, because I honestly, I don't even know how I'm going to make all the improvements I made to the base in my room, from changing the sub to changing moving it the location slightly, to changing the settings in the receiver and stuff. There's so many things that really helped me. So I'm gonna do a separate video on some of this stuff, just to kind of break down, because I found that I was doing a lot of stuff only half right, and the little bit extra, or the slight differences I made, really made big improvements. So I want to try to help other people avoid what I had been doing. So anyway, that was 3 years. The next thing, in 2016, I bought a 82-inch daylight screen, fixed frame, velvet screen. And then in 2020, I bought a 92-inch silver ticket, which it looks pretty similar, but that 10 inches definitely made a difference, and it's a slightly higher gain. But the main reason I did it was because my old screen got wrecked. I mounted it exactly as the directions said. It was tight to the wall, created a vacuum, if you will, or a seal. And the difference in temp from the in the room to the wall, which is a outside cinder block wall with drywall, finished, Moisture would build up from the difference in temperature from the back side of the screen to the front, and the drips would actually created a separation between the backing material, and it was actually a textured indentation, and so when the projector would hit it, it would create these lines and streaks on the in the image. So that's the main reason I upgraded. But it was actually a blessing in disguise, because the 1.1 gain versus the 1 gain, you can just tell in this photo how much more it reflects light. But just going to the bigger size, and it was only $170, so it was I was very it was kind of a blessing in disguise, like I said. So all right, the next thing in 2003, I bought these Polk RT 8000s and center channel and side surrounds. And then 5 years later, I swapped them up, square even trade, with a friend who had sold his house, which I mentioned in the last video, to these RTI 10 towers with the matching center channel series, and then the side surrounds were FXI 3s. So 5 years, it was almost 6, but 5.5 years between the main 5 speakers. And then the next thing, one of the more minor things, was I just had a Sony Blu-ray player, the S5200, low end, like $79 player. And 2016 I got that with the new projector and stuff. And 5 years later, I upgraded to the Panasonic 4K Ultra HD. So, I mean, for Blu-ray discs, I don't notice a difference, honestly. But it plays the 4K movies that have Atmos, and that's the main reason I got it. Plus, it's a way nicer looking unit, and it's the same. It's the width of a proper, for like an AV rack and stuff. So the next one was in 2002. I bought my first quote-unquote high-end piece of gear. This is an Onkyo TX-SR 800. It was 100 watts by 7. It's my first 7-channel. It had DTS ES, which is only a 6-channel processor, but it had 7 channels of power. Dolby Digital EX. It was an improvement over my old one, but 8 years later, I went with the Onkyo TX-NR 808. Same series, but it bumped up to 135 watts, at least by 2 channels. Totally changed the way my speakers sound. This receiver was a beast, super heavy, and I really didn't want to get rid of it, but it was DTS MA and Dolby True HD, but it didn't have Atmos. So 8 years I kept, the 800, and then 10 years later, it's still the Onkyo. From 2010 to 2020, I upgraded to the Yamaha RX A3080. So I went 8 years on the first one, 10 years on the next one, and honestly, I could easily go 10 years on this one. I'm already 2 years in on this Yamaha, and I don't, unless I really need HDMI 2.1 in the future, I can't see a reason to upgrade this. I definitely don't need any more channels in my theater room. So yeah, that was a 10-year gap. The next one is an 11-year gap, and that's between my 720p Sony. It was the HS51 to the 1080p 40ES, which was a massive improvement in not only the resolution but the colors and the brightness. So that was one of the better upgrades I've done. I'd say the 2 biggest upgrades were going from the 800 Onkyo to the 808, and going from the Sony 720p projector to the 1080p. So hopefully when I get the 4K like a JVC, it's going to be as equal of a jump. But at the same time, I also upgraded my screen. So I went from a 77-inch that had an aluminum black powder coated frame to a velvet edge frame. That's the main reason I went, and 82 was the smallest. I should have went 92, but I fixed that, which I've already discussed. This was the screen that got wrecked. So that was 11 years on the projector and screen before I upgraded. The next was my side surrounds, my left and rights, which I had in 2008 in that trade. 13 years later, in 2021, late 2021, I upgraded to these in-wall Polk 65 RTs, put them in these columns, and that was a pretty big improvement too. Not just mostly because the other speakers are dipole and they diffuse the sound, whereas this is more direct, and I lowered them, and so it creates a better sound bubble with the Atmos. So my second subwoofer I bought, I would say my first good subwoofer was in 2004. This is the Velodyne CH10. I took this photo today. I still have this in my living room. The reason I replaced it was the audio, it wasn't kicking on. And in my theater room, I had the volume knob on the sub at about quarter. And in my living room, I bumped it up to half just because different receiver, different level. And it's worked flawlessly ever since. So the problem was I had the knob too low. Something with the board, it needs the volume to just be at least half for it to actually kick on, automatically detect. But I have had no issues with this. So I bought this in 2004, and in 2017 I replaced it with the clips, which I've already replaced with the SVS. I don't have a photo of this in the room, but it had the same specs, same style port, same woofer, same RMS, but the performance wasn't there for me. But 13 years I went, and I still have the Velodyne, but in my theater room I went 13 years between subwoofer purchases, which is probably pretty incredible. I feel like speakers, though, you don't need, if you buy good speakers, you really don't need to upgrade. So anyway, the next thing is the carpet. So this was the carpet in the house when I bought it in 2006. And 14 years later, in 2020, I upgraded. I forget the name of this carpet, but if you're interested or you like how it looks, there's a direct comparison, because I left this the original carpet in my computer room, which I'm sitting in now, so there is a seam, and that's the difference. But this had way more white in it, way more reflective, and it's super flat. So yeah, that was 14 years. The room design is the next thing. Oh wait, I forgot the couch. Never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the room. This photo is from 2006. I'm talking about the walls, the trim, the paint color. I'm not talking about really anything else. So 2006 to 2021, 15 and a half years, I had the same wall color, same trim, same everything. And so I completely redid the room after 15 and a half years. Obviously other things changed in this photo, but you get the idea. Just look at the base wall, the trim, and then look at the difference. So 15 and a half years. I put some acoustic stuff on, just a little bit less than that, like a year less than that, but really just the main room. So that was a long time. And I do like, in this photo it looks terrible, but I did like the general color scheme with the white, the black, and the gray. But yeah, I'm glad I changed. All right, so now we're getting to the couch. So technically I bought this couch in 2002. I had it in my bedroom initially. I had I basically had the whole basement to myself at my parents' house, but I had a pretty decent bedroom. And I had bought this couch in 2002. Obviously I moved it to the theater room in 2006, but sitting on it, it looks really comfortable laying on it, but my back was hurting, which I'm going to do a separate video on the importance of comfortable seating. So 18 years later, I upgraded to this Bob's Discount Furniture Panther Power Reclining Leather Sofa. And I'm going to do one of the other things I want to talk about. My only regret is that the center seat doesn't recline, and that's where I like to sit the most. So, but that was 18 years I had this couch until I got this seating. And then last but not least, my rear surrounds. So these are Polk RTI 38s. I purchased in 2003. These are my back surrounds. And 19 years later, they're still my back surrounds. So I have not upgraded these yet. So honestly, you can see I have them angled down, and I'm actually thinking about flipping them upside down so the tweeter's lower. But my side surrounds are, I really am happy with the side surrounds now that my back surrounds. Now that my side surrounds are good, my back surrounds I'm very happy with. These are nice bookshelf. Honestly, you could use these as main speakers. I mean, they're really good. But 19 years, I still have them. Who knows if I'll ever replace them? I mean, it's just crazy. Like I said, you get good speakers, and I know there's better speakers than Polks. Let me go back to my my fronts. Well, just find a picture that has them. Guess we'll do yeah, this is a little bit better. I guess not, but these Polk RTI 10s, I'm telling you, they sound great. I don't, maybe I'm missing something, but I think they sound amazing. So I don't know. Thinking about doing a acoustically transparent screen and putting in walls, at least the center channel, someday. But who knows? Who knows when I'll change these speakers out, just like the back surrounds. I just feel like if you got good speakers, there's really no reason to upgrade. I mean, technology doesn't change in speakers. They can have some catchphrases and new things they try to sell you on, but good speakers are good speakers, whether they're from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. I mean, I feel like they stopped making, at least Polk, for a couple years. They kind of stopped making these really good ones, but now they have their like Premier series that I guess is really good. So, but anyway, that's my upgrading journey. And yeah, that's kind of a similar style video to the last one. It's a little longer than I was hoping for, but yeah, let me know what you think. What have you done? How long have you gone in between upgrades? I'm still on the same projector since 2016, which is only 7 years, but I'm looking at least another 2 years before I upgrade that. And I'm happy with this. I truly am content with most everything, and I did a lot of upgrades in the last 2 years, but it's because it's been so long since I did anything. So but anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next video.